Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Monkey Wrench. I'm Kelly, the monkey with the wrench. Today we're doing another video on the zero turn that I bought for $1. If you caught the last video in the series, I brought it home after 4 months of being down south, using it, cut a few hundred lawns because it needed a few little things. Things that I had planned on doing originally 4 months ago, but without having a trailer to get it from the south side of my town back to the shop, it's stuff that I really couldn't work on without taking a buttload of tools, and I didn't feel like doing it. So in the last video, we found out that the charging system was not working. The voltage regulator was bad, and I showed you guys how to test that. I also showed you how to test the stator ring or the charger ring that comes off the top, where to put the voltage regulator, and how to test your line going back to the battery to make sure that those three things are all in working condition. And we now have a charging system back. I also, if you watched that video, you would have seen that there was a mess of wires everywhere. So what I've done was go ahead and clean that up. I've got my grounds all running together here. This is the power wire that goes from the PTO switch to the PTO clutch and straight to the battery. So that's still loose. This is my throttle cable, and it's too long. I may end up shortening it, but for right now, that's why that's looking long. What I'll end up doing is shortening it and going from there around to my throttle. And then I took all the rest of my wires, made sure that I had all my connections, my plug-in connections. These are the wires that go to the starter solenoid, which is what we're changing in this video. And then I have everything put in this plastic sheathing. I love this stuff. You can buy like, I don't know, 10 foot of it in a roll. Maybe it's even more than that, for like $1.50 at Harbor Freight. And you stick all your wires in there, and it just cleans everything up, makes everything stay exactly where it's supposed to go. You see how that just tucks right in down there, and now all that stuff's out of the way. And now I can put my battery back in exactly where it goes, and all my wiring is cleaned up. Now this wire goes here, and then I have my ground wires that all come up and go to the battery, and then this is my charging wire that will also go to the battery. And now all my wires are all cleaned up. Everything's out of the way, everything's in where you can't even see it. So I wanted to show you what it looked like when all the wires got cleaned up and inside of the protective casing. Now that sheathing protects it from weather, it protects it from dirt, and it holds everything together so that everything's nice and clean. So in order to change this, we had an electrical system issue. I think I had I know I had a bad voltage regulator, but I believe we had another issue somewhere. I replaced this about 4 months ago, but you saw in the last video how bad the wiring was, and somehow it's to the point where it kind of welds itself closed when you use it. If I try to use it right now, it would probably be okay, but I found out after I start it once or twice, when I turn the key, what happens is the connection stays closed, and it just keeps spinning the starter even after the motor's running, and you don't realize it, and that's how you burn up a starter. So we're going to be replacing the solenoid here. Now this is a 4-post solenoid. Okay, you have your positive that comes in. I don't know where I put it, but it's a short, there it is, it's a short wire that comes from the battery and goes to the positive side of the solenoid. Also in this case, I have this switch, or this line, that goes to this switch and then goes back into the system. Okay, and then down here, and I know that this is a blue wire, I'm sorry about that, but you have positive. This comes from the key switch and sends power in here. This is the negative that goes back out and grounds. And all that does, when you hit the key, it sends power here. It closes this like a bridge, closes it up, so power can literally jump from this side to this side, and this goes directly to the starter. Again, I have a black wire on there. I'm not one to go out and buy something. I had a black wire that fit, that was in good shape. The red one went bad, so I changed it to black. Yours will be red, and it will simply go around and go onto your starter, and that's all it is. So in order to change this out, these are just spade connectors. In my case, blue is positive and black is negative. So you're going to take those off according to your machine. You're going to take off these nuts right here, and you're going to pull off your positive lines, one from the battery, and in this case to this switch. And you're going to pull off your negative, which goes to the other positive that goes from here to the starter. And then there's just two bolts right here. Okay, these two bolts come out, and this solenoid comes off. And then all I'm going to do is reverse the process. I'm going to put the new solenoid on. I'm going to put the wires back accordingly. I'm going to buy a 4-post solenoid. The only difference between a 3-post solenoid and a 4-post is the 3-post would be the positive and the positive and the positive. It would be missing the ground. They consider the body of the solenoid grounded, so when it bolts on or screws on, it has to go on somewhere that gives you a good ground. So if you have a 3-point solenoid, all you have to do is make sure that either you have a good positive ground where the body meets the body, or just run another wire from there somewhere even up to your battery where you know you have a good ground. So you don't have to go looking for your model number and a specific one that's going to work. You can go to any auto parts store and buy a 3-pole or a 4-pole, and you can make it work. The 4th is just the ground. So don't spend a ton of money buying OEM parts. This is just my opinion. Go down to the local hardware store, the local auto parts store. I think they're like 17 bucks. Go to your local mower store. Look online. Any 3-point or 4-point solenoid is going to be the same. The only difference is going to be how it mounts to the machine. In this case, it has an L-shaped bracket where I could mount it up that way if I had an overhead bracket, and it has my bolts here to go in there. If I bought one that didn't have this, it wouldn't make a difference. If I bought one, and really all you need is one bolt. If you can get one bolt on this thing and attach it so it doesn't hang around and bounce off and move around and disconnect your wires, it's really all you need. So don't worry. If for some reason yours is different and it only has this up here, turn it. Use this to connect it. Take your hammer, flatten this out without breaking your plastic. Flatten that out so it's facing the other way, and put that hole down here, put your bolt through it, and this thing would just hang lower. It's just a switch. That's all it is. Sorry, I got a phone call during filming. So that's all I'm going to be doing on this. I don't even feel the need to show you that. I wanted to show you that all of our wiring is now in its proper casing. Everything's tucked up where it's supposed to be, and it gives this thing a much cleaner look. If you remember from the first set of videos, all of the plastics were missing, so I had to build this arm here to put my control plates there. So the only thing that you're going to see here coming, I mean, it's not enclosed in the bottom, so you're going to see that, but at least all the wires are now in where they're supposed to be. Everything's tucked up out of the way. Nothing can get hurt. Again, this one comes up here to the battery, so nothing's going to get hurt. Nothing's going to get in the way of the wheels. And I'm going to change out that solenoid. Now that you know how to do it, you could do it too. If you have any questions, leave your questions or comments down in the comment section. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Now, the nice thing about having my own shop is that I have parts laying around, and I had another solenoid. The old one is laying down there, and remember, the old one had a piece of metal on the top here that folded out for a different kind of mount, and I said if you have another one you can use it. This one is a different style, so I could only get one bolt in it on this side, and I got it bolted on. It's the same 4-pole solenoid, and why spend 20 bucks on a new one when I had a good used one laying around? So I just unplugged the old one, plugged in the wires the same way on the new one, or the new used one, bolted it to the frame. It's not going anywhere. And solenoid replacement. Works by key again. So now the only thing that's left to do to this thing, well, there's a bunch of little things. You know what I mean? Little stuff that drives me crazy. You see the way that bolt is sticking out? Well, when you try to put a nut on it, it goes back in. Same thing on this side. And that is what holds this bracket right here. So this thing's loose. And that's what my seat comes down and sits on. So I've got to figure out, I might take the wheels off completely, jack the thing up, and drill holes through it so I can put a proper bolt and nut on both sides so I can attach this this piece better. And then of course my fuel tank, it just reconnects down there on that bolt, and there's a bolt underneath here that goes into the frame. Just little stupid stuff that I don't think I'm gonna feel the need to film for you guys. I don't see any reason to. Oh, the last thing I'm gonna do that I will film is I'm going to set the valves on this thing. As you see, it starts right up and runs better. I'm gonna put new plugs in it, set the valves, and just put the shrouds back together. You'll see that last video on this, and this thing's going back into service. See you soon.